Today, I've got a remarkable story to share with you, one that's all about courage and hope. It's a story from the life of Charlie Munger, the brilliant business partner of Warren Buffett and a true investment genius. Now, Charlie is on the verge of turning 100 years old, and his journey is nothing short of inspiring. I've recounted this story numerous times because it never fails to fill me with a sense of inner strength and tranquility. So even if you've heard it before, just stick around because it's a tale that changes something within you every time you hear it. Now, this story takes us back to a long time before Charlie became wealthy and renowned, before his heartwarming family and success. It was 1953 when Charlie, who was all of 29 years old, went through a painful divorce. Back then, divorce carried an enormous social stigma and it hit him hard. His ex wife got pretty much everything, including the home. Charlie's friends would tell you he was living in rather challenging conditions after the divorce, but he dug deep, summoned his courage, and worked tirelessly to recover from the financial setback. Little did he know that this was just the beginning. A year later, another devastating blow struck. Charlie's 8-year-old son, Teddy Munger, was diagnosed with leukemia, which is a form of blood cancer. He scoured the medical world for a cure but learned it was incurable. Charlie, with his ex wife, spent agonizing days in the leukemia ward with other parents and grandparents watching their children suffer. Moreover, back in those days, there was no medical insurance, so Charlie had to pay for everything out of his own pocket. Each day, he'd take Teddy to the hospital for checkups while still caring for his other two children and practicing law. It was an incredibly tough period as he watched his son's health deteriorate. In the words of his friend Rick Guerin, Charlie would visit the hospital when his son was in bed and slowly dying, hold him for a while, and then go out walking the streets of Pasadena crying. Tragically, 1 year after the diagnosis, Teddy Munger passed away at the tender age of 9, leaving Charlie utterly heartbroken. At this point, Charlie was 31 years old. He was divorced, financially struggling, and burying his young son. It would have been easy for him to give up and turn to vices, as many did in those times, but Charlie was not that kind of a man. He persevered. Years later, he reflected on the inner turmoil he could have given into and said, generally speaking, envy, resentment, revenge, and self pity are disastrous modes of thought. Every time you find yourself drifting into self pity, I do not care what the cause. Your child could be dying from cancer. Self pity is not going to improve the situation. It's a ridiculous way to behave. Charlie went on to say that life will throw terrible, horrible, and unfair blows at you. But it's your attitude that matters. He shared the idea of turning every mischance in life into an opportunity to behave well and learn something. The power of a speech becomes even more memorable when you realize that he never mentioned that his own son had died of cancer. Anyways, Charlie's trials did not end there. At the age of 52, he developed cataract. A failed surgery left him blind in one eye and it led to complications. The pain in his blind eye was terrible, making it hard for him to stand, and in desperation, he decided to have his entire eye removed. Now, for an avid reader like Charlie, losing his ability to see might seem like a prison sentence, but he was undeterred. He told someone close to him, "It's time for me to learn Braille." That's Charlie for you. Let me take a bit of a detour now and come back to Charlie again. Let me now tell you about one of the most life changing books I have ever read, which is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. The book is a chronicle by Frankl of his experiences as a German Nazi concentration camp inmate during the Second World War. In this book, Frankl describes his psychotherapeutic method, which involved identifying a purpose in life to feel positively about and then immersively imagining that outcome. The central theme of Frankl's book is survival. Although he witnessed and experienced horror, the book focuses less on the details of his own experiences and more on how his time under Nazi rule showed him the human ability to survive and endure against all odds. As Frankl wrote in his book, he saw the lowest parts of humanity while in the camps. He saw fellow prisoners promoted to be in camp guards turning on their fellow prisoners. He watched as they beat their lifeless, malnourished campmates. He watched sadistic guards treating them as if they were lower than animals. But he also saw individuals rising up like saints above it all. The part from the book that impacted me the most was this when he wrote, and I quote, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Life, much like investing, is not a smooth ride. It is a journey with its share of triumphs and disasters. Just as you experience joy and happiness, you will also face pain, suffering, and loss from time to time. That does not mean you deserve every bit of sadness, defeat, or tragedy that life throws at you. It's part of the human experiences. When we read success stories like Charlie Munger's or Warren Buffett's, it's easy to assume that they had a straight path to glory, but we often overlook the years of hard work, of sweat, tears, and even tragedies that paved their way to success. Charlie faced divorce, he faced financial struggle, the loss of his son, and blindness in one eye, yet he never gave up. It is important to remember this when you think life has been unfair to you and you indulge in self pity. So remember, when life feels unfair and you are tempted to indulge in self pity, take a cue from Charlie's life. As he once said, and I quote, treat those two imposters just the same, which is success and failure. Learn from your own mistakes, but do not dwell on them. It's normal to fail and make bad decisions. The real tragedy in life is being too timid to play hard and experience reverses. If there's one big lesson we can take from Charlie's life, apart from the one on being a learning machine, it is that we must pick ourselves up after every meltdown we suffer. We must also know that all our struggles and all our failures will lead us to experience something greater and lead us to become someone better. Then let's begin all over again and find the courage to stand up and face today with just as much hope as we had yesterday. In conclusion, I hope the story of Charlie Munger's resilience and the wisdom of Viktor Frankl's man's search for meaning have left a lasting impact on you. Life is an unpredictable journey which is filled with ups and downs, triumphs and disasters. It's a reminder that success often emerges from the depths of adversity and challenge. Thank you for joining me on this journey of inspiration and resilience. Keep moving forward, stay hopeful, and remember that the path to greatness often winds through the valleys of adversity. Until next time, take care and keep the faith.